USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. The U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands are about 20 miles apart and share many cultural and familial ties. So that's why government leaders gathered this week to talk about how the two can work together to maximize the areas of mutual benefit. The 9th Inter-Virgin Islands Council meeting took place Thursday at Government House in St. Thomas, the first meeting between the two governments since 2020. Premier Dr. Natalia Wheatley called for unity between the two island territories. One of the key topics was easing access, internet access. VI Governor Albert Bryan offered the BVI access to USVI's fiber optic network in order to offer free Wi-Fi hotspots for BVI residents. The other main topic was tourism and how to maximize the benefits of their combined tourism assets.
In the BVI, of course, we rely heavily on the airports and the seaports here in the USVI, and we were able to discuss matters of mutual benefit and mutual interest to make sure that our residents and visitors had a very clear, accommodating transportation between our respective homes.
A lot of things can be done, and it all starts with communication, and I think that the communication that was started here today in terms of maximizing the total benefit of our tourism product is key. There are a lot of great things coming up in the British Virgin Islands that Virgin Islanders wants to go to, but we want to make sure we expand what that means for them, because people from all over the world are interested in the food fest and the music festivals and all the other things that go on in the British Virgin Islands that make it great. Here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, we too want to expand our tourism season from not only November to May, but year-long. That's something that we can work on together, extending benefits of staycation to not only staycations here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but also in the British Virgin Islands.
And they also talked about many other topics that would benefit both the BVI and USVI. So for a full list of what they discussed, head to our website, usvicbs.com. The two leaders also talked about Friendship Day, which is coming up soon on October 22nd, a day to celebrate the cultural and familial ties between the USVI and BVI. It's a day that first started 50 years ago in 1972. The next Inter-Virgin Islands Council meeting will be held in the BVI at some time. FEMA obligates more than $65 million to build a new nursing home on St. Thomas. The Office of Disaster Recovery has awarded the Department of Human Services $65.7 million to construct a brand new 52,000 square foot long-term care nursing home. The current Queen Louise home for the aged will be completely replaced. This building had structural deficits before Hurricanes Irma and Maria damaged it more. They're now only able to use about half of its original capacity, less than half of it actually. But now that the territory received the obligation from FEMA, DHS will work to secure land in Sugar Estate to build a state-of-the-art facility and begin designing it. The new state-of-the-art 24-hour care facility will be a 60-bed skilled nursing facility and nursing home. According to published reports, nurses, respiratory therapists, and other medical personnel who worked through the pandemic are set to receive a $7,000 bonus check this Friday. The VI Consortium is reporting those medical workers who worked throughout the height of the pandemic in 2020 can expect the check September 23rd for the retention bonus that the Bryan administration has negotiated. The funds are being issued through the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan Act. The consortium reports the bonus checks came after many local nurses complained because they worked so hard throughout the pandemic, and traveling nurses hired through Pafford Medical Services earned several times their wage, significantly higher pay. Qualifying personnel will receive the $7,000 bonus payment once a year through 2024. The territory received $540 million in American Rescue Plan funding, much of which has not been spent yet. A man is arrested and charged with failure to comply with registration requirements for sex offenders in the USVI. 53-year-old Leon Brisson Jr., a registered sex offender, was arrested by VI Department of Justice special agents on Thursday at his home in St. Thomas. According to VI Attorney General Denise George, Brisson was fired from his job and didn't report it as required for sex offenders. Brisson was convicted in April 2012 for traveling to meet a minor to commit an unlawful sexual offense in Polk, Florida. Now to the very latest on Hurricane Fiona. Canadians are bracing for a hit as the storm continues to move north. The powerful storm is headed there after slamming Bermuda and hitting Puerto Rico and other parts of the Caribbean pretty hard earlier this week. Michael George reports.
Hurricane Fiona battered Bermuda with heavy rain and strong winds, knocking out power to much of the island. Ahead of the storm, people hunkered down in preparation.
My patio doors, or my veranda doors, whatever, are already boarded up.
At the height of the storm, wind gusts reached as high as 103 miles per hour. But officials with Bermuda's weather service said the island appeared to have escaped the worst. The same can't be said for Puerto Rico, where the massive cleanup effort is slowly coming along. Nearly 1 million homes and businesses remained without power Friday morning, days after Fiona caused catastrophic flooding. In San Juan, volunteers collected basic goods and food items to be distributed to the hardest hit areas. As residents pick up the pieces, Fiona continues to track north. In Nova Scotia, boat owners secured their vessels while others stocked up on food.
We got everything all tied down, and I have everything prepared. I got my candles, I got my batteries.
With 8 inches of rain expected to fall, Fiona is shaping up to be one of the most severe storms in Canada's history, where it's forecast to make its next landfall.
And this week, footage from Puerto Rico released in the aftermath of Fiona shows the heroics of first responders. Here you can see firefighters rescuing a 91-year-old woman who was trapped in her home after the flooding in the Puerto Rican sector of Manatee. Thanks to their heroic efforts, she has since been taken to a safe place. Firefighters and National Guard members rescued more than 1,000 people over the past several days following Fiona's hit. And as rescue efforts continue, as we've been reporting, Hurricane Fiona comes nearly 5 years to the day after Hurricane Maria took aim at the island, knocking out Puerto Rico's power grid. And in some cases now, officials are saying this flooding may be worse.
The biggest difference between Hurricane Maria and Hurricane Fiona is the amount of rain that this hurricane brought to Puerto Rico. In many areas, over 30 inches of rain. Yes, Hurricane Maria brought about 40 inches, but it was in a specific area along the center of the island. That's not the case with Hurricane Fiona. It brought rain all over the island, and many of the areas and suburban areas were completely flooded.
Thankfully, the Turks and Caicos Islands were mostly spared from Hurricane Fiona's wrath. Our USVI News' Deandra Hamilton reports.
North Caicos, Middle Caicos, South Caicos, Providenciales, Grand Turk, all spared what could have been a far more devastating dalliance with ferocious Hurricane Fiona over Monday and Tuesday. Turks and Caicos, an archipelago and one of the Caribbean's premier vacation spots, had to rapidly shift gears to brace all of its inhabited islands for what it thought would be a Category 1 storm. Instead, the islands got Category 3 strength. In the aftermath, debris, rough surf, wet roadways, and some damaged buildings. And for 5 islands and thousands of people, electricity was completely lost. Telecommunications down, and concern high as Fiona wreaked such havoc in Guadeloupe, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. Tourism came to a halt with the airport closed, but on Wednesday it reopened, and arriving troops from the British HMS Medway to support reconnaissance and humanitarian efforts.
Because we consider ourselves to be blessed. This storm from the beginning we said was unpredictable. We urge residents to continue to pray for the best and to prepare for the worst. Certainly it has been a challenge, however we believe that we fared off well based on the fact that we have not lost any lives and we have not had any serious injuries.
By Thursday, it is anticipated the country will be back to normal, with schools, banks, hospitals, and government offices also reopened. Deandra Hamilton reporting.
Recent images show the eye of Hurricane Fiona from a U.S. Air Force plane. Check it out. According to the U.S. Department of Defense, a U.S. Air Force aircraft flew inside the eye of Hurricane Fiona on Wednesday. The plane typically flies into tropical weather systems to collect atmospheric data to send to forecasters at the National Hurricane Center. At the time the images were taken, Hurricane Fiona was up to a Category 4 storm and was headed toward Bermuda. Getting to your destination is said to be half the fun, but U.S. airport travelers don't feel that way. The J.D. Power 2022 North American Airport Satisfaction Study reveals overall satisfaction has fallen 25 points compared to data from the year before. This comes as air travel has nearly returned to pre-pandemic levels. Among the best-ranked major airports, Minneapolis, St. Paul, San Francisco International, and John F. Kennedy Airport. The worst airport, according to the survey, is Newark Liberty International. Others on the bottom of the list include Chicago O'Hare and Boston Logan. Among the factors being taken into consideration for this study, terminal facilities, baggage claim, and arrivals and departures.